Hey everybody, EM here, doing my first YouTube video, and it is on this system I have here. This is my first aid kit that I use for hiking, backpacking, single day, ice climbing, rock climbing, you get the idea. I'll take this when I go hiking with my kids, and it's a day trip, etc. Not a multi-day system, not a 3 or more adult system. You get the idea. Take a look here. This is my red pack. Obviously it's all held in here. Great color. Tells me exactly what it is. Lets me know. Red bag. That's it. First aid kit. Moderately waterproof. Okay, you can kind of see this little coating that's in here. This is really waterproofed enough so if a water bottle in my pack, top wasn't on right, got wet, stuff wouldn't get completely soaked. Stuff is, though, independently wrapped, and we'll go through all of this. This is one set right there. We're going to put that aside. This is a survival set that I have in here. I'm not going to go through this. You guys want a video of it, please tell me in the comments. I'll maybe do this separate. Okay, that's in there. Boom. That's it. This is hand warmers. It's winter here. Keep these in there. Summer, these get changed out for sunscreen. Get the idea. There we go. That's what's inside. Go through each one of these things independently. This is obviously gloves. Alright, find a size that fits you. This little package that they're in is a craft bag. You can easily find these Ziploc bags. Smaller size. Back to gloves though. Find a size that fits you. If it says large, please try it on. Make sure it's actually a large for you. Medium, whatever. Carry as many as you feel comfortable. This is what I think is comfortable for me to carry in here. Okay, there we go. Now, on to dressing supplies. This is really where you're going to be in, to do your basic field dressings, whatever you happen to need to do to treat someone who's been injured. Okay? And it's a bag and a bag in here, so we're going to just kind of move along. And I'm going to show you exactly the first one you're going to use the most right here. Band-Aids. Okay? I only really have two sizes in here. Generally, I have the size you see right here, and I also have a larger size, which is not in this at the moment, which is why it's in the house. It's actually the larger. I think the pad is about that size. Go over a knee, etc. That needs to be replenished in here. But this is what you're going to use the most of. We know that. Moving on, though. In this pack are two abdominal pads. Okay, ABD pads are very absorbent. Okay, they're not your first line issue though. They're something you're going to use as part of a dressing. But very absorbent, they're fluffy, they have the ability to soak up a lot of fluid. So if you're doing a dressing over a wound that's actively oozing blood, it's going to take a while for the blood to come through this. Dimensionally, they're 5 by 9 inches. Fold them over if you have a smaller wound, so you have double the thickness. Got a lot of absorbency in this package. Now, would one be okay for this kit? Yeah, it probably would. I like having two. They don't weigh anything, so I'm going to have two. Next in your line are 4x4s. Okay, 4x4s are awesome. I like the 12 ply. Okay, I don't like the other type of 4x4s. They're 2 in a package. I've got 8. Alright, these are your workhorses in your dressing kit. You're going to use these to clean wounds. You're going to use these as your base layer dressing. Alright, really good. Now, in all reality, is 2 packages maybe enough? Maybe. I like to have a little bit more versatility here. So I'm going to do this. And it fits my weight constraint too. Moving on, we're going to deal with this. Okay, this pack here, this is my wrapping and absorption pack. So this is really wrapping. This is absorption. We're going to move on though. Wrapping, it's self-explanatory. This is a product. Johnson & Johnson makes it. Variety companies make it. Sometimes it's called Conform. You get the idea. It's a loose gauze. You can really wrap things well with it. Bind up your bandage. You can put a little compression on, and they're just great. If you have a wound on an arm, taping is not the best option. Wrapping is going to be the best option. And here you have it. Okay. I've got 2 of them here. You can cut them if you're doing something smaller. They'll work great, and they'll keep stuff on. This is the absorption end. This is my Curl-X. Curl-X looks a lot like the Conform, but there's a lot more of it. And I will sometimes use Curl-X to stop up things in wounds. If you've got someone who's a real bleeder and something's really, it's going to be a lot of blood before you can get it under control, whip out the Curl-X. Start putting pressure on. You need a fresh piece, find your fresh section, and just really put some pressure on. You can do a lot with a Curl-X, so you don't have to eat up all your 4x4s. You can do a lot with this. That's why it's in here. Does it need to be in here? I like it. Some of this first aid stuff is always going to be personal preference. So have in here what you need. This is a guideline, albeit I think it's a good one, but this is what I like to have, these two. Now, moving up the level, you're only going to have one set of wound closures in this kit by me. Okay, I have here steri-strips. Alright, these are essentially a type of tape. They're reinforced. Alright, you're going to use this to close a wound. Now, I don't have sutures in this kit. I won't have sutures in this kit. They're not necessary. Most people don't know how to operate and how to use sutures correctly. If you haven't stitched before, learning something on YouTube and watching it probably isn't the best idea. If you have some ability to practice, be it on a human analog or something else, it's a better idea. Bottom line is, though, I'm not going to carry sutures in this kit. That's not what this kit's designed for. These are steri-strips that work just fine. If you have a wound, even if it's jagged, but the edges are close together, relatively well approximated, you're going to use these to pull the wound tightly together, or close to tightly together, prevent infection, and on top of it you put a dressing. Alright? I have here 2 packages of 6 in each package, 6 strips in each package, so I like to cut them in half, so you end up having 12. Perfect. Okay. Here's our tape. Right there. Wrapped on a card. Fair amount. Not a ton. Fair amount. What's that line for? To tell me where the end is. So when I'm searching for it with a headlamp, which is part of this kit, but it's not here. Headlamp's elsewhere in the pack. But I've got it. Oh, I don't have to fuss and try to find it. It's right there. I know where it is. Finger splint. Now, you'll wonder, it's the only thing you have in there for breaks. It's not really for a break. Yes, you can splint a finger for a break, but it's also for the wound on the finger across the knuckle, that when you bend it, it opens. Here you go. A little dressing material on the affected area, tape it down, you're done. You can also mold this if you need to. If you really do have a break, you can really support it. Move it onto the hand. You get the idea. It's ridiculously light. Might as well carry it. This is the next thing that I'm going to talk about, and it's a personal thing. This is QuikClot. Now, QuikClot, you'll hear a lot about QuikClot. Bottom line is, it was developed by the military to stop bullet wounds. That's it. Originally, using it in Afghanistan and in Iraq, it was in a granule form. You'd pour it into a wound, and you'd stop the bleeding. That's it. Problems with it. There are medics that got it in their eyes. They used it on wounds that was inappropriate. A whole bunch of things happened, and QuikClot kind of got pulled from a lot of military kits, and it just got a bad rep. QuikClot has a place, and it has a place in really severe wounds that if elevation and pressure can't stop the bleeding, you use the QuikClot. Okay? It's a personal thing. You don't feel comfortable using it, please don't use it. If you think you have the expertise to use it, go right ahead and use it. I believe I do. So it's in here. Excuse me, I will tell you, it is the last thing I'll use. I will spend a lot of time putting a lot of pressure on a wound, elevating it, doing a lot of things before I use the QuikClot. So I only have 25 grams in here. That's all I need. This is the personal choice thing that I'm telling you. You feel a little uncomfortable or it doesn't sound quite right, don't carry it. Tweezers. Oh, awesome. These are great. These are really, you can get in, you can get a splinter out, you can do whatever you need to with these tweezers. They're very, very, very handy to have. Now you'll notice in the background my Swiss Army knife, and maybe you'll wonder, wow, it's got tweezers on there. But the Swiss Army knife tweezers, they're just not quite right. So I don't think they even count. They don't count. Why do I have this in there then? Okay, this kit is a kit that in some ways you're relegating things to it that are never going to return. The QuikClot, the dressing supplies, they'll get used up. That bag, though, I don't ever use it for anything other than the first aid kit. And this is a Swiss Army knife I don't use for anything other than the first aid kit. It's not a multi-tool where it's expensive or more expensive and I want to keep using it. This is an older Swiss Army knife that I just had lying around. That's the main reason it's in here, is for the scissors. Alright? There's other things in here, of course. You know, it's got the blades. It has your normal accoutrement of a Swiss Army knife. And so it's handy because it's always going to be in there. And I'll always know I have a knife. In case, like, I lose my EDC blade. That's something I always carry. If I fall, if it's gone, I've always got the Swiss Army knife as long as I have the first aid kit. Moving on to my drugs. A lot of stuff in here, and we're just going to kind of cruise through it just so you get an idea about what I think you should be carrying. Gatorade. You want to carry rehydration salts? Go right ahead. Got someone who's dehydrated, you're going to want this. Mix it with water, you're golden. Speaking of dehydration, this is lopromide. Okay, you can also know it under the name of Imodium, Lamodal. If you're having diarrhea in the woods, you can get dehydrated very fast, and that's a really bad thing. There's enough here for 24 hours for 2 people. It's well worth carrying. It doesn't weigh anything. Let's see, next drug. Now, I have 2 here that we're going to talk about in conjunction. And these are both, this is naproxen and this is Tylenol. You notice I'm carrying a lot of it, and I'm carrying a lot of it because this will get sourced periodically, and I want to make sure I don't run out. So I do carry more of this than you would normally need for a kit, but I don't want to carry just a few because then they'll get sourced, they'll get used, and I'll forget. No tabs here, I don't have any little labels because they'll get stuck to another bag, they'll rip it. I've got my expiration dates on there, and I know how to use this medication, so I'm not going to write any instructions. And if you have a medication that you take every day, please have a few of them in here. That way you've got it if something happens. Tums. We all know what Tums are for. They're great. Again, expiration date right there. I've got plenty, so if I take a couple one day, I'm not going to run out when I really need them. There we go. That's these little bags I'm using again. They're awesome. They're really, really good. Okay. Moving away from pills, we're going to move towards, well, actually we have one more pill, sorry. This is Benadryl, REI brand. They call this Histoprin. 25 milligrams of Benadryl. This will help you in case of an allergic reaction. It's not as good as an EpiPen. If you have someone who has an allergic reaction that's severe, like a bee sting kind of thing, have an EpiPen with you. This is not EpiPen quality. However, it will help you out. Also as a sleep aid. Triple antibiotics. This is Neosporin. There's my expiration date, guys. Again, wound care, you're going to want this. It's great to have. You just put it inside an abrasion. It's going to prevent infection, so you'll be more comfortable. Hydrogel, burn gel. Good stuff. You burn yourself. Boy, is this going to feel good, huh? And there's a lot of it here. You can see this is really full, so I only need 1. These are povidone iodine wipes. Now, these are not just wipes. These are things that you're going to end up using maybe as an irrigant material. What you'll do is you'll put this inside some water and you'll shake it up and you'll pour it through a wound to kind of get rid of debris, etc. But they're good cleansing. I have a few of them. These are kind of juicy too, so you really have more than you think here, and they're well worth carrying. So that's all of this kit. That's everything that I carry normally. There are a couple things that could have in there, but I choose not to. Overall, I think it's a good starting point for you to figure out your own kit. Take care, YouTube. Bye-bye.